Hello everyone, this is Asnar. Welcome you to another episode of Knights of Honor. Today we're going to be starting a new series here that's going to be taking over in place of the Roman Restoration series, which I am calling a close to. And the reasoning for this, to be honest, is over the last little bit here, as we got so overpowered in that series that there was nothing that could really stand against us anymore. I just found the series less and less fun. I enjoy this game when it's a challenge, but when it's incredibly easy, it just really loses something for me. I thought about it a lot, and decided that instead of continuing the series for what would be probably another 8 to 10 episodes of me just not really enjoying it, the best thing would be to just start something new. And what I've decided to start is the hardest playthrough that I personally can think of in this game. Now, I'm sure there are other harder starts. Some one province miners, if you get a really bad roll off the start of the game, can be difficult. But in terms of an entire long game, this is the hardest it can be. So we're going to play on Europe. We're going to turn on the map here, and we're going to go to the High Period. Now, the country we're going to be playing as is the Golden Horde. Now, they are in both the Late and High Period. However, there are some differences. The Late Period, you can see the Golden Horde has more territory. As well, they have a single vassal, Muscovy. Now, vassals provide a boost to you at the start, but actually present a roadblock for you in the future, because your vassals will almost always declare independence from you, and doing this will make you lose a point of kingdom power. In the High Period, you have 3 vassals, Kazan, Muscovy, and Ryazan. As well, you start with far less territory than you do in the other start. Now, I'm going to jump into the game here and begin, and as we go through, I'll explain why this playthrough is so difficult. But first, we should get started. We have Tarkan Sartak here in Saratov. Nice starting province. 2 food. I don't particularly love that, but that's okay. Immediately here, we need to maximize the amount of money we're making, so I'm going to make my family members into merchants and immediately go looking for trade agreements. We're just going to make trade agreements with faraway powers, the most powerful ones we can find. Places like the Almohads, France, England, Germany. You know, places that, what? Oh, they're not interested. Places that, we're not going to have a lot of interest at any point soon in being at war with. There we go. And then we're going to find ones to trade with. England and the Fatimids. Sounds good to me. We just need to be bringing in extra money as soon as possible here. Now, are we at war with anybody? No, we're not. That is both good and bad at the same time. As well, we don't have bad relations with anybody. That is very fortuitous for us. That means that we can sort of sit back here and take our time before we really jump into things. On the other hand, at some point soon, we are going to have to jump into a war with somebody. If not, you know, for the only reason being to gain experience for generals. However, those opportunities could very soon come to us, as our vassals will, at some point, rebel against us. Now, there are a couple of reasons why a country like the Golden Horde here is difficult. If we go to Kingdom Wealth, you can see not only is there no advantage, there's actually a minus 30% to our income for us being pagan, which is the religion that the Golden Horde is. As well, you can see that as pagan, we have no piety. We have no piety, We don't have any ability to build religious buildings, and we have no clerics. Meaning that there's almost no way for us to acquire books. As well, having no clerics, there's no way to adopt population. This means that any territory we get, getting rid of nostalgia is going to be very difficult, although it is possible. Nostalgia will tick down if you were at peace. As you can see though, watching me, I'm sure in the playthroughs I've done of this game, staying peace is very hard for me. So I'm going to institute some rules. I want to stay at peace as much as possible. You know, after we get out of war, stay at peace for a little bit is a good idea. But I'm making a hard rule that if we have no heir, we will not be at war. Losing your leader when you have no heir means that any provinces with nostalgia will kick out as their own kingdoms, and this is incredibly difficult and devastating for us. Therefore, if we have no heir, we will not be at war. Picking up new territory, we'll be at peace, assimilating the populations of the territory we already have. However, at the moment, that's not something we really need to worry about, is it? Just, you know, building some minor basic buildings off the start here. I think inns is probably a good idea. As well, very soon here, Kuban, Georgia. Okay, the Georgians here look very ripe for the taking. These actually looks like some really good provinces. However, what we're looking for right now is a suitable country to declare war on. Oh, the Cumans are actually at war with our vassal Muscovy. Georgia is at war with the Seljuks. Seljuks, however, also at war with Trebizond. I'm thinking the Cumans might be a good war partner. This isn't necessarily the territory I want to move into right away, so it's not a bad idea. Another thing I will mention about the Golden Horde as well, having no clerics, is that the pagan religion spreads. As you can see under religion here, it says Azov finally accepted the pagan religion. As a pagan power, if you hold territory of another religion, at some point, by random pretty much, they will just flip over to pagan. There might be a rule to it, but if there is, I'm not sure what it is. I'm going to promote my second marshal immediately here in Volgograd.
Warm food at last.
Now, in the long run, as you can see, this is going to cost us some cash.
My liege.
We've moved from 30 some a turn to 18 a turn. And it's not necessarily good. However, it's something at this point, something we have to do. Tax income? Oh, that's not even close to worth it. When we go to war with the Cumans, we want to jump in with 2 armies right off the bat. And get them experience at the same time. As well, it'll maximize the amount of places we can raid so we can bring up our kingdom power. Kingdom power right now is 2150. As you can see as well, having no piety, kingdom power only costs gold. Now you can see why this playthrough is challenging. You have a serious handicap on how much money you can make, which makes the early and middle game a lot more difficult. And as well, not being able to adopt populations means that you have to play very, very carefully when it comes to expansion. You have to put some serious time into staying at peace. Because if you don't, you could very easily run into a ton of trouble. Now, one other thing we're going to do here, in terms of our military, that's going to take a little longer to get our military up and running here, is that we're going to focus exclusively on special units, and that special unit is steppe cavalry. Now, steppe cavalry are not necessarily the best cavalry in the game. There are better cavalry units.
Yes.
However, steppe cavalry, in terms of what they cost, I would say are definitely the best cavalry in the game. They are cheap as heck, as you saw, 800. Some of the other really good cav, like feudal knights, can cost, you know, 2,000, 3,000. Cataphracts are quite expensive as well. But once you can build steppe cavalry, they are incredibly, incredibly cheap. Meaning that you can field huge armies of horse archers towards your enemies. Once we eventually achieve those cavalry armies, you'll see the speed at which those armies move, especially once you reach 3 points of movement, is what makes the Golden Horde, although the game is more difficult in terms of some of the mechanics, it makes them, at least in war, very powerful. Now, once our Tarkans are here, and they both have a full army, we're going to move into Yetizan. I'm going to wait to declare war till we're a little closer to the city, or if there's an enemy army, you know, get us close to the enemy army. The important thing, there are two important things that we want out of this war, and that's money and experience. Now, our provinces are doing all quite good. The amount of builders in them is quite satisfactory, except for Paraslavl here. Yeah, we'll get a toolsmithy eventually to put another worker in there. And the amount of food is 3 or 2 isn't terrible. If in a nation our size, you know, 5, it doesn't really matter what any one province's stats are. But trust me, if you start as a 1 province and any of these 2 is a 1, or even piety, if piety is any of those 3 are a 1, you immediately start. Oh wow, the Pope's already calling for a crusade against the Almohads. That's interesting.
Your wisest of rulers.
Now, if we go in here, we can see our leader is Temujin. He's young. That's little historically inaccurate. To this point, Temujin, or as he's known in history, Genghis Khan, would be quite old, but no real matter there. Now at this point, I'm not going to build buildings at all until we take our first point of kingdom power here. We need to get our kingdom power up as quickly as possible while we have the chance. Now, after we are done with this war with the Cumans, what I want to do is start a war with Georgia. Possibly. However, it might actually be better to wait. Let's see. Oh boy. That's interesting. Chernigov. Huh.
We are on our way. Off I go.
Political view.
I might just take that province. Now, we've declared war on the Cumans, and right away, it's not going to do anything immediately, but eventually, because of this, Muscovy is actually going to be quite happy with us. No, what I was going to say is that the best opportunity for expansion, I think, is actually to move into our vassals' territory once they inevitably declare on us. However, the Cumans taking Chernigov, for me, presents a real opportunity. This territory did belong to our vassal. However, we could take it from the Cumans and snipe it right now. It's not necessarily a bad idea. Okay, now, since there are no Cuman troops here, considering they seem to all be fighting Muscovy, we're going to start 2 raids at the same time here. I think it's fairly safe to do that.
Political
Same time here. Let's look again. Yeah, Bulgaria is a little uneasy with us now, as is Nicaea and Trebizond. That being because we just declared war on a neighbor of theirs, they're a little wary of us now. However, I'm not particularly too worried about that.
Yes.
One of the secrets to this game, a secret which, to be honest, in the Roman Restoration playthrough, we did not follow at all. But I'm definitely going to follow in this game, especially once our vassals rebel against us, is that it is very beneficial to, as much as possible, keep yourself diplomatically alienated. Oof, Muscovy's taking a beating. Oh, it doesn't really bother me too much. You don't want to have allies, and as much as possible, you don't want to have vassals. Allies simply get themselves into trouble and become a money and a time sink, and make other countries who your vassal is involved with mad at you, whereas they otherwise wouldn't be mad at you. Secondly, vassals, it's the exact same problem as allies, except that now you also have to deal with the fact that at some point your vassal will become unhappy with being a vassal, rebel against you, and cost you a point of kingdom power. They may provide tribute for a while, but until you're at a point when you can very easily replace your kingdom power, I wouldn't suggest having vassals. Once you have a very strong economy and you're pulling in a lot of money, well then, you know, you can sort of do whatever you want. Kingdom power won't necessarily hold you back, you know. A point of kingdom power may cost 10 or 20,000, but if you're making 500 or 1,000 every tick, it's not necessarily prohibitive. I'm just going to keep raiding through Yetizan here. And I think as well, we'll raid into the Crimea. And after that, we'll head to Chernigov. Before we start attacking settlements, I think it's a good idea to have a point in both leadership and dread. Yeah, Muscovy, they're a little pleased to see we're here. You know, they're not mad. Now, one thing that we could do, and this might actually be a decent idea, is if we take Chernigov, it might be a good idea to give it to Muscovy. If we make them really happy with us, they might not rebel against us very soon. There we go. Now with our kingdom power increased, you can see our income, it jumps up a bit, not a ton. We're always going to have to deal with the fact Muscovy and Voronezh. Yuck. Well, for me, that settles it. Now the Cumans, you're only at war with me now. I think this is a war worth pursuing here.
I feel wiser. Board ships. Destroy this nest of scum. Yes. Now that I am more skilled, I will erase.
We'll keep this war active, I think as long as I can. If it's to a point where it's a little much for my two marshals, then, you know, I may seek to get out of the war. But I would like to leave a war with the Cumans with at least Chernigov. Very possibly with Voronezh as well. What we could do is take Chernigov and Voronezh. Oh, no. Muscovy's a walled city. No, we'll leave that alone. Yeah, we could take these two provinces. I think that would actually be a really good thing to do early game here. Having a strong
Your goals, sire.
base of, I was gonna say town tributes. That would actually be useful, but there's really no town tributes whatsoever right now. What we really need to do, while we still have money here, is do some development. Gonna build a tax collector's office, I think, in each of my provinces here. Now that's going to hurt happiness a bit, but we have an inn in each of our provinces. So it shouldn't put us under.
What is your command?
But what it will do, for example, in Azov here, we have 1, 2, 3 villages. It'll give us an extra 3 gold. In Lugansk, what do we have here? 1. Just 1. Well, yeah, it's only 1, but it'll give us an extra gold. Any extra little bit of money we can bring in right now, I think is a good idea, especially since we really need to lay the groundwork for us not having this vassal income. This vassal tribute of 24 is something we will not have forever. Now, after building those 2 tax collectors, I think now I'm going to save for the next point of kingdom power here.
Off I go. Time to move.
Okay, now that we have completely burned down Yetizan, we're going to move into the Crimea. After that, we will march north. Now, in Crimea here, I think 1 raid apiece is probably fine. That should get us the points we need to take a point of dread each. And after we get dread, we can move up towards Chernigov. So it's sort of going to be what we're looking at right now, is to increase the amount of territory we have, upgrade our territory so that we're making some money, and just sort of go from there. We don't want to be fighting a ton of wars right now, but they are necessary at the moment. But on that note, this episode has gone on quite long enough. This is Azanar signing off. If you like this video, give me a like. If you really enjoyed it, consider subscribing to my channel, and I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye.